Why are millennials such lousy salespeople? So I was standing at a cocktail party at a convention last week, and a guy came up to me who was a major officer for a large company, and he asked me that question. He goes, "All right, Mr. Sales Navigator, now, I have to tell you, it was a cocktail party. I was into my third rum and coke at that point in time, and if you know me, you know that I don't have much of a filter under the best of circumstances. And when I'm into my third rum and coke, I have no filter whatsoever." This guy didn't either. He was into a few drinks as well, and he walked up to me and says, "All right, Mr. Sales Navigator, I got a question for you." I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Why are millennials such lousy salespeople?" I looked at him, I said, "That's a dumb comment." He goes, "Why is it a dumb comment? They're all lousy. Every millennial I've ever had as a salesperson is a lousy salesperson. Why can't that generation sell?" I took a sip of my rum and coke. By the way, this is only Pepsi. There's no rum in here. I'm just doing it for effect. And I looked at him, I said, "Come on, man, you've got to be kidding me. You cannot generalize an entire generation as saying that they're all lousy." He goes, "We got a ton of them, and they're all worthless." And so I thought about it for a minute, and I repeated my comment that it was a dumb comment, and I told him what I'm about to tell you. First of all, could we please stop talking about the millennials like they are babes in the woods? The oldest millennial is now 41 years old. They're not kids anymore. And you know who's really sick of hearing about millennials besides me? The millennials. They're tired of it. They're tired of hearing an entire generation of people generalized as being one thing or another thing. Look, I hear millennials say, "Okay, boomer," and I find that annoying, but I got to tell you, I get it after hearing some of this stuff at parties and at conventions. Look, every generation has its formative experiences. We all did. You know, the baby boomers, they had Vietnam, they had hippies, they had the Beatles. The 80s, the Generation X, that's where I'm from. We had hair bands, we had new wave, and you don't think that kind of stuff will scar you. Hey, look at the mullet. Our generation was not really killing it. And then you had the millennials, and they are the most well-communicated generation ever because of social media and technology. So every generation brings its own formative experiences to the table. And the question for us is, do we generalize them as one thing, or do we instead look at millennials and Gen X and boomers and Gen Z as well? Do we look at them as individuals? And what I would advocate is when you're trying to hire and build salespeople, look at everyone as millennials. You cannot generalize people by their age. You know, people talk about, well, young salespeople are the most aggressive and older salespeople wear their coast and collect. I'll tell you, there is a client of mine in Chicago that has an older salesperson. When I say older, the man's 72 years old. He is still the most aggressive, go-get-em, high prospecting salesperson that you or I are ever likely to meet. So you cannot generalize these things. As a matter of fact, if you are looking at how to build a great sales force, regardless of generation, I want you to use a system that I call Troy's Greatest Hits, HIT. First, H, the hiring. Hire with a good hiring process. A good hiring process means multiple interviews. You need a resume-focused interview. You need a behavioral interview. Look on my other videos for tutorials on how to do those things. And then most importantly, you need a valid third-party assessment. I prefer the Profile XT by Wiley, but there are some of them out there, but you need something that is going to tell you if someone is trait fit for the job. If they're not trait fit for the job, it doesn't matter what their age or what their generation is. The second thing, I in HIT. There's two I's actually, don't hold it against me. One is individualize your management approach. If you have 10 salespeople, you need to be 10 different sales managers because all of your salespeople are going to need something different from you. If you are looking for cookie cutter sales management techniques, you're not going to get them here. Look, I've had many different salespeople. Every salesperson has always been something different to me. As a matter of fact, I always used to joke that on my 6-person sales force I had years ago, if my people got together and compared notes on me, they might think they were working for 6 different people. Why? Because I individualized my management approach to get the absolute most out of them. The second I, invest. Invest in them. What that means is invest in them through a good onboarding program, through a good training program. through continual coaching to develop their skills. You know, most surveys show that 70% of the reason that salespeople leave a job is because they don't feel supported, because they don't get adequate training. Not just product training, but training on how to sell, training on how to deal with customers, training on how to build good relationships. Then finally, the T in HIT is tend to those relationships. One of the things sales managers are weakest at is building great relationships with salespeople. And that's dumb. The reason it's dumb is that we, salespeople, sales managers, are natural relationship builders. We spend all day building relationships with our customers and with our contacts, and yet we don't transfer those same relationship building experiences to our salespeople. Think about how you build relationships with your salespeople. First of all, you sell them on doing business with them. You find out what their needs are and then find out how we can solve their needs, right? When's the last time you did that with any of your salespeople? And then to keep that relationship live, you keep reselling them, and you also keep ascertaining whether or not we are still continuing to solve their needs. Again, when's the last time you did that with your salespeople? You should be doing regular relationship checkups with your salespeople. So, whether a salesperson is millennial or not, use Troy's greatest hits and you'll get the most out of them. But by the way, let's go back and answer that question. It's a dumb question. All millennials aren't lousy salespeople. All boomers aren't great salespeople. All Gen Xers aren't great. Wait a minute, I'm Gen X. Okay, maybe we are. Anyway, the point is you cannot generalize by a generation to say all are this or all of that. I'll tell you what, some of the very best, strongest, most savvy salespeople I know are millennials. And I've seen a few in Gen Z that are pretty strong too. So if you use Troy's greatest hits to build your sales force, hire them the right way, individualize, invest, tend to the relationships, you will have the sales team you want regardless of what their age is. I'm Troy Harris, I'm the Sales Navigator. You know the drill. If this video is helpful to you, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.